Welcome. Welcome to our Virtual Rental Resources Summit. KC Regional Housing Alliance and the United Way of Greater Kansas City are here to show that together we can get the rent paid. Please welcome the president of KC Regional Housing Alliance, Stacy Johnson Cosby.
And I am Stacy Johnson Cosby, and I am a real estate agent, but I'm also the president of the KC Regional Housing Alliance. I'll tell you just a little bit about us, and then we're going to jump in with introductions. So we are an alliance of what you would call landlords. We call ourselves housing providers because that's what our business is, providing housing. And especially during this time of the pandemic, we see the importance of housing and people having somewhere to shelter. During the pandemic with the CDC eviction moratorium, what that effectively did is it told housing providers and landlords, and we're businesses, we're entrepreneurs, so we're small businesses. It told us, hey, you must let people live in your property rent free. And we know that nothing is free and that there are always costs, there are mortgages and property taxes and other costs to maintain the unit. So we said that's not going to work very well. And we lobbied our Congress members and senators for more rental assistance because we know people want to be able to pay their bills, including their rent. And so anyway, we got the $25 billion in December, and that's what we're here to talk about today. That money is available for rental assistance and utility assistance across 12 months. So it's a big deal. There's help for everyone out there. And so in the states of Missouri and Kansas, if you're anywhere in either state, there you'll hear someone on this call that will have information. They can point you somewhere to get information. It's not just about the Kansas City area, but it's about our two states, and our organization is regional. And with the members of our organization, we represent property managers, landlords, realtors, investors, and anyone who owns rental property. We are the voice for the rental property in the housing industry. And so anything you need going forward in the future, if you need to touch base with someone and says, to ask what's going on in our industry, we're the ones. And we're also going to be proactive. As many of you know, we had a job fair where we were virtual, where the jobs paid $15 an hour or more. I'm going to touch base on that shortly. And we're doing this is our second time doing this resource fair. And I will let you know now, we are going to do this again. We're going to do kind of a scaled down version with Jim with the United Way on April 9th. And we may do it every month, just like a little workshop, because there's too much information and not everyone can be on here today. And so our goal is to keep the information rolling. And if people need help paying their rent and utilities, no need to stress, help is here. And so that is our goal. And I'd like to this time to introduce Yogi. I don't see Yogi, but I think he's here. He's my co-chair from the KC Regional Housing Alliance. If you can introduce yourself, Yogi.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yogi Gupta. Like Stacy, I'm a broker realtor, and I'm also a member of Kansas City Regional Housing Alliance. Thank you.
Yeah, and he co-chairs the events that these virtual events that we do. He is my co-chair. We work together to do that. But at this time, and really quickly before we leave, I want to introduce someone special who I met last week. I mentioned our job fairs. We did a virtual job fair where the jobs paid $15 an hour or more. And we had, I had someone call me last week, and she happens to be a tenant, and she called to get information about that because we keep that job fair and the 28 or 29 employers online so that at any time, if someone's looking for a job, they can reach out and have that information. And we also have that recording, but we also have their contact information. And so Deanne Warren, you're here somewhere. Deanne, will you please say hello? She called, okay, I'm gonna have you say a couple words too. She called to introduce her, she called me last week saying, I'm a tenant, I'm looking for a job. And she was looking for the job fair. And we started talking, and I learned that she was a public relations professional looking for a job. And so say something, Deanne, real quick, just a couple of words to introduce yourself, if you would.
Hi, everyone, I'm Deanne. I went to University of Central Missouri for public relations and minor in digital media productions. I've been helping Miss Stacy get the word out about this event. And if you would like to get a hold of me, you can email me at my first name, deann.warren@gmail.com.
The thing I like about her, and thank you, Deanne, for being here. She's gonna have to get off, but she jumped right in and she said, how can I help you reach other tenants? So she is a tenant trying to help other tenants, and she's offered her services for free, helping us get to the media and reaching schools. And so some of you may have heard about this today from her. Deanne, thank you for all that you're doing. If somebody needs a good PR person, I can vouch for her. She is wonderful and she is here. So thank you for being here, Deanne, and for your work. Very good. Well, we appreciate you. I like the hustle that you got out there looking for something to do and then volunteered to help us reach other tenants. So thank you so much. And at this time, before we get started, I'd like to ask any members of our KC Regional Housing Alliance just to briefly introduce yourself and your organization so we can put faces to it, and then we're going to get rolling with our first speaker. I'm going to start with Kim, because Kim is just woman extraordinaire. You will have noticed that we had a campaign together, hashtag Together We Can, hashtag Get the Rent Paid. That was Kim's creation, and she spent a lot of time working on that and getting the word out through social media. Kim, will you introduce yourself?
Thanks for joining us, everybody. I am Kim Tucker with Mid-America Association of Real Estate Investors, and I am going to be working in the background.
All right, thank you, thank you. And I see Robert. Anyone else, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Robert Long. I'm a realtor. I'm a housing provider in South Kansas City, and I'm the current president of Landlords Inc. Thanks for joining us.
My name is Brendan Pishney. I'm the president of Landlords of Johnson County here on the Kansas side.
Hi, I'm Diego Gandolfo. My wife and I invest in the city. She's a real estate broker. I'm an attorney, and we are what you call a mom and pop's housing provider. And I'm glad to be here, and welcome.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Anybody else? And someone asked, it doesn't matter which county, any county in Kansas and Missouri, and then you're going to hear from them specifically about where the help is and how to get it.
Yes, Candy Meehan. I own a property management company, Home Rental Services. We manage houses throughout the entire greater Kansas City area. So,
hey, Stacy, it's Jason Grill with the Apartment Association of Kansas City. I just wanted to introduce myself. I know we have some members on this call. I do government affairs consulting for the Apartment Association of Kansas City, and there's some folks from across Missouri as well on this call today.
I'm going to turn it over to you, Jim. If you could, please introduce yourself, and if you can get started.
Sure. Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm Jim McDonald. I'm with United Way of Greater Kansas City. In about a month, I'll be starting my 32nd year of service with United Way. And it's just really been my privilege over the last couple of years to work with a number of partners in the community around issues related to housing instability, the threat of eviction, the opportunities to build financial stability among low and moderate income households. And so during the early part of the pandemic, we forged a partnership with several area legal aid organizations, and we've been able to help hundreds of families avoid eviction in the past, probably 6 or 7 months. And so when the new federal funding came down for emergency rent assistance, we began looking for ways to sort of come alongside the area jurisdictions that will be receiving those dollars or that have received those dollars, and then with the nonprofit partners that help them do the work of assisting families. So what I thought I could do is just spend a couple minutes walking through some high-level pieces of information about the federal program. I'm grateful for all the folks who are on the call today who know a lot more about this program than I do, including some folks who are running the programs that are serving our region. So grateful for that, and I'll leave the more detailed questions that any of you might have about the program to those folks. But with that, I'll go ahead and get started with a little bit of an overview. Okay, so the Emergency Rental Assistance Program was put into place with the passage of the recent stimulus package that was passed in December by Congress, and then assigned to the U.S. Department of the Treasury to administer nationally. The passage of that act earmarked $25 billion nationally for rent and utility assistance to renter households. In Missouri, that will mean $400 million. In Kansas, it will mean $200 million. And more money is coming. There was, in the most recent stimulus package just passed by Congress, there was around an additional $21 billion. So what was originally going to be a program that ended in December is going to continue through, I believe, September 30th of 2022. The feds have set a high bar in terms of ensuring that we're not duplicating benefits, that we're not paying the same rent bill or the same utility bill twice. And one of the ways that local and state jurisdictions are ensuring that doesn't happen is through centralized application processing, which means in most cases an online application portal. So that's something that many of you, I'm sure, will get very familiar with. And the other really great thing about the program is that the Congress sort of put in place in the enabling legislation was an expectation that state and local jurisdictions running the programs find or implement a way for landlords to initiate the process of getting assistance for their tenants who are behind in their rent. So it isn't just the tenant who can take action to get this assistance. The landlords and property owners can initiate the process of getting assistance to their tenants as well. Here, I'm talking about this as a single program nationally, but the dollars are flowing to local jurisdictions or jurisdictions throughout the country. So that means states and local jurisdictions with populations of 200,000 or more. So here in Kansas City, and so those local jurisdictions had the option of claiming a direct allotment from the feds. I think most of them did. I think in the state of Missouri, maybe 7 out of 8 did. Here in the Kansas City region, Kansas City, Missouri, Jackson County, Clay County, and Johnson County all qualified for a direct allotment. They all claimed that allotment. Then Johnson County, Kansas subsequently decided to contract with Kansas Housing Resources Corporation to run their program. But over on the Missouri side, Kansas City is running its program. Jackson County is running its program through a partnership with United Way and Community Services League. And then Clay County is running its program through a partnership with United Way. So really in the Kansas City region, we're talking about 5 distinct programs, each of which has its own place to go for a resident to apply. I'll make the point that today, where you go to apply if you're a tenant really depends on where you live. And there's a program for everyone as long as you meet the eligibility criteria. And if any of your tenants are unsure about where they can go to apply, United Way has kind of aggregated all of that information into a single one-pager that I'd be happy to share with you that includes links to the different application portals. And then United Way 211, our information and referral service, is always a resource as well. So people can call 211 and find out where they should go to apply. I'd say today, and the Missouri side in particular today, there are distinct jurisdictions, meaning there's, the program in Kansas City only serves Kansas Cityans, and the Missouri program only serves people outside of those jurisdictions that got a direct allotment. But MHDC, and I think there's maybe someone on the call today from there, is in the process of setting up a way where soon there will be essentially 2 programs that serve Kansas City residents, the local program and the statewide program. So I thought that was really terrific. In terms of the assistance that's available through the program, and this is just language right out of the legislation, rental payments, which includes forward payment of rent. Without getting into the details, an applicant who qualifies can receive assistance for up to 3 months of forward rent. In addition to rental arrears, we can cover rental arrears going back to April 1. Utility assistance payments, current utility bills, and then utility assistance arrears going back to April 1. And then there's a provision for other qualifying expenses, which really includes costs associated with getting someone who is currently unhoused, rehoused through things such as deposits or relocation expenses. And it really varies depending on the jurisdiction about the kind of assistance available that's in that category. And then again, just in terms of the arrears, rental and utility arrears, no payments can be made for periods prior to April 1. In terms of eligibility, an eligible household is defined as a renter household. This is only a program
no problem.
for renters.
It's in there, it looks like now, but it's not popped up.
So this is a program only for renters. Even the utility assistance component, unfortunately, is only for renters, not available to mortgage holders or property owners. And in terms of the eligibility criteria, it's for households where someone in the household qualifies for unemployment, or has experienced a reduction in household income or incurred significant costs due to financial hardship related to COVID-19, where they demonstrate a risk of experiencing homelessness if they don't get the help that they need, and where the income of the household is at or below 80% of the area median. And I just took a slide here that has that information. I think this is for Kansas City. This is just an example. And so it's tied to the household size. So the maximum income an applicant can make depends on the number of people in their household. There are a couple of priority populations that are named in the legislation. So the federal government wants programs to prioritize households at or below 50% of area median income, and those where there's one or more adults in the household who've been employed for 90 days or more at the time that they apply. And my apologies, this is a slide I took out of another presentation that we're using in Clay in Jackson County. And so this information is initially true across the board. I think in some cases there's a priority placed on households that are facing imminent eviction, where they, their application may get moved ahead of other applications because they have a lawsuit filed and they're on the brink of eviction and they might lose their housing otherwise. That last item, though, is not embodied in the legislation, but it's just kind of one of those things that I think each jurisdiction is grappling with on a case-by-case basis. Just a couple of thoughts, and then I'll turn it back to you, Stacy. I think for landlords and tenants, it's important to be patient in awaiting payments to be made. I think the turnaround time in the various programs that have been set up can, range maybe from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. So it's important for folks to be patient while they're awaiting a determination on an application. There are community nonprofits that are in some cases assisting jurisdictions with the processing of applications. And in other cases, they're available to assist. They're not processing the applications, but they're available to assist an applicant with things like getting access to a computer, getting access to a scanner. There's a high documentation burden in addition to the application itself. And so there are, caseworkers at community nonprofits who are available to walk alongside applicants who need the extra help in submitting an application. Again, for information on the program serving your jurisdiction, you can feel free to call United Way 211. And, I'm not sure what your plans are for questions, Stacy, but I'll turn it back to you now because it looks like, there'll probably be lots of questions from each of the presenters.
And that's right, we're handling some of them in chat now. So if you have a question, you can put it in chat. And what we'll do at the end of some of the presentations, we'll ask if anyone has any questions. We may answer a couple at that time, and then we'll keep moving. But we'll do that for other speakers because we know you'll be here through the end, Jim, and that you're a partner with us on this. And so we want to make sure we get yours at the end after everyone has spoken, because I think, as we know, we're going to point a lot of people directly to you. And then along those lines, I wanted to share something really quickly here. We had a success story with United Way. At the end of last year, the CARES funding, they had to get their dollars spent before the end of the year, before December 31st. And at one point, Jim said that he was concerned he had a little bit of money left over, didn't want to have to send it back to the federal government. And he worked side by side with us, and we created a streamlined application form where housing providers could, bundle up any of their tenants that needed help and get those packaged together and sent in to a dedicated email address. And in less than 2 weeks, the United Way turned around $150,000 worth of rent payments to help people, just like that, in less than 2 weeks from the moment of application to getting the checks turned around. And so that was a wonderful thing, and it shows how they are willing and able to move quickly and respond to the needs. And so we appreciate him for working directly with us. And that's something, I think you said, Jim, I'm going to quote you, that you should have come to us sooner, because we are the front lines. We're the ones that know when the rent hasn't been paid. And it's in our best interest to make sure it gets paid. And speaking of which, one more thing before we go to our next speaker, Ryan from the state of Kansas. Something that we are working with Jim on, and we're going to roll this out a little later, is what we're calling an eviction rehabilitation program, is what we called it. And what that does, this is a special kind of tenant that needs help. We all know that tenants that are currently in their homes that may be behind for months and months, that we know they can apply so they can stay housed. But there is a special population, people that were evicted as a result of the pandemic and after April 1st, maybe because of a loss of income or a job, that are currently today homeless and not able to find somewhere to rent because of the past eviction. Our goal is to help them because that is going to be a burden. That judgment of thousands of dollars will be a burden around them and for them for years to come. We don't like that. And so we're working directly with Jim. And what we're going to do with our eviction rehabilitation program is that person will be able to apply for assistance, even though they've already been evicted. They may be on a couch, in a shelter, in a car, in a hotel, staying with a friend, and they are having a problem and running into barriers, finding their next place because of this past eviction and this big judgment that's due. They will be able to apply to get that judgment paid off of their past due rent. And so that housing provider will be made whole, which is good news. That tenant will be helped because now they'll have a zero balance and they'll be able to say that their judgment has been paid. And then they can explain what happened. And then going forward in a separate application, they can apply, just like Jim talked about, for 3 months rental assistance. And I'm guessing that a lot of housing providers would be willing to give them a chance. So we are removing the barriers caused by eviction. And so that is something that we have done because we know that there are people out there that are struggling and eviction is a big deal. And so that's our assistance. So watch for information on that eviction rehabilitation program. We'll give that to you later. You're up, Charles, right now. Please introduce yourself and share what you want. Perfect timing.
Okay, thank you very much. And the information you all have shared so far has been very, very informative, very informative, very informative. My name is Charles Johnson. I'm executive director of an organization which is called I Am My Brother's Keeper here in Kansas City, Missouri. That consists of male mentoring from the age of 8 to 18. And that also has a community outreach component. But also for the last 53 weeks, I've been blessed, and I say that very humbly, to feed the community of Kansas City. I've partnered with Councilman Brandon Ellerton, 3rd District at Large City Councilman, Harvesters Food Network, and Mount Sinai Baptist Church, which is located at 3634 Brooklyn. For the last 53 weeks, we have been feeding the city. As of December, Harvesters gave me the count that with the poundage and however they do their calculation, that I was provided with enough food to feed roughly 650,000 families. That is a lot of food, but that speaks 2 ways. One, it's a blessing to be able to help those in needs during this time. Also, it really shows a need in our community dealing with food, the food shortage. So I reached out to you, you reached back out, I appreciate it. But any churches or any entities that is willing to participate in a food drive, I have a relationship with Harvesters. You can reach out to myself. There's a few criteria that we must meet. Some of it we can circumvent and kind of get around. Some is concrete that I can't bend with because it's their policy and procedures. But I can be reached at area code 816-529-8166. And that email address is cj. Did you want to go? Dot I am my brother's keeper, one word, at gmail.com. And I'm willing to work with anyone in the community. I'm willing to work with. I have no problem with working with anyone in the community. That's what I do. That's what I do. Also, coming this Saturday, I've initiated myself, along with roughly 50 volunteers, of a community cleanup. Our city is a dirty city. Our city is full of trash. And I'm speaking from the river all the way south. It's just trash everywhere. You hear some complain about the city's not doing this, the city's not doing that. That's our responsibility. These are our neighborhoods. We're the ones throwing the trash, not us literally that's on the Zoom, but it's our responsibility to take care of the trash. So I've been blessed to work with the director of Public Works, who is Michael Shaw, to organize, and they've guaranteed me all the material that we'll need to address this trash issue in our community and et cetera. And our first one is scheduled for this Saturday, March the 20th at 9 a.m. And our meeting location will be 3836 Chestnut. And I've identified roughly about 20 blocks this month that we're going to give a lot of attention to. And from each month, we're going to continue to do these. But I would like to get with neighborhood association presidents, and because you know your neighborhood better than I do, some of your dump spots and everything, well, we can address this problem. And hopefully us as a community and a city can continue to maintain it where it's not embarrassing when you come to our city and don't see nothing but trash. So anyone that's willing to work with me, reach out, specifically with the food drives, specifically with those food drives. That is a must. You speak of rental assistance and everything, there's a lot of those households that doesn't have food. I see redundancy every week of the same people getting the food. And I have plenty of food. I would give food out until harvesters tell me they're not giving me any food no more. That's my goal. That's my goal.
Charles, we got you. And on your flyers, when you do your food drives, because you do them, I think, every other week, get the flyers to us if you would, and we'll post them. So people looking at our Facebook page and our website will have access to that. So if you share it with me, I'll get it out. And we thank you for your good work. Get in there and take care of that need.
Okay. Thank you very much. Y'all have a blessed one. Have a good weekend, everyone.
You too.
Be safe.
We have Kansas Resources Housing. Right? You're on the call. If you could please introduce yourself. We're happy to have you here. So Ryan, welcome and thank you for being here.
Good morning, Stacy, and good morning, everyone. What a great group. It's a pleasure to see so many people that are active in working in affordable housing and just the provision of housing in the KC metro area. So thank you. Thank you for your good work. Thank you for your partnership. Jim McDonald was just on and has done a wonderful job as an advocate for affordable housing. So I'm honored as Executive Director of Kansas Housing Resources Corporation to take just a couple minutes and give you and all an overview of the State of Kansas program. And then it sounds like you're going to be hearing about some other ones that are working in the region as well. If you don't mind, I'm going to take just a second and share my screen, and hopefully I can get this all to work okay. I guess before we start, I want to take just a minute, and I realize you all work in providing housing, but I like to talk about how housing has never been more important. Home has never been more important than during the time of COVID. I'm going to play a 90-second video which explains why.
Dear home, thank you for everything you have given us. For the shelter that you provided, which gave space for life lessons. Now, life lessons are coupled with school lessons as bedrooms become classrooms. Housework happens alongside office work because kitchen counters are also desks. And now, community looks a little different. Worship looks a little different. Healthcare looks a little different. But in all, you remain constant. Oh, home, you have provided us shelter. Hey guys, breakfast. But more importantly, you have provided us space for love and for life. Your door opens to introduce us to the adventure that awaits in the evening. And it secures the things that mean everything to us. Each turn of the doorknob is a handshake that reaffirms our commitment to each other. Because right now, home means more. And when we return, we enter your familiar embrace to a feeling that is as incredible as it is indescribable. Every Kansan deserves safe, affordable housing. Kansas Housing Resources Corporation is unlocking home.
So with that little brief introduction on KHRC and just the importance of home right now, I want to take a few minutes and just talk about what COVID has done, and you've all experienced it. You all know that at the same time that the moratorium has been happening, that the rent continues to accrue for tenants month after month after month, and landlords month after month after month. Their costs, they have mortgages to pay, bills to pay, taxes, utilities. We're on a collision course as a society. And we're so grateful to have this important resource to be able to address this mounting need. The numbers are stunning. In Kansas alone, about 35% of our state rents. That number is, we've seen all different numbers, but the estimated rental shortfall for the state of Kansas in January was between 130 and $180 million. In September, at the end of September, 12% of our renters were behind on rent, and that was before a lot of the resources were made possible. But from the landlord side, from the housing provider side, you've all seen a 12% decline in revenue. At the same time, you've seen an almost 15% increase in costs. Again, a collision course that isn't sustainable. KHRC has been pleased to get a number of different resources, which I don't really have a lot of time to go into today, but I did want to touch on one of those, and that's our previous Kansas Eviction Prevention Program, which operated for the entire state of Kansas. We worked with the governor's administration, with the recovery office, and we were able to have remarkable success in a 60-day window from October to December of 2020. But in that time alone, we received over 10,000 applications requesting almost $26 million. We served over 20,000 Kansans, almost 30,000 Kansans total applied when you count their household size. That's the size of Emporia or Pittsburgh, Kansas. Mid-sized cities in Kansas had that much population applying because they were facing eviction. Overwhelming need, but it was a success. And that's why I'm pleased now to turn to our next program, which, as Jim mentioned, was funded through Congress last December. This is the second round of funding now. The state of Kansas received $200 million. We are the administrator of the entire program except the city of Wichita. However, we will be supplementing the city of Wichita in the coming weeks because we recognize there's a lot of need in that community. KHRC is going to be operating our program very similar to the previous KEP program. We launched on Monday of this week, so barely 72 hours ago, and I just pulled the numbers. We've received over 3,000 applications in 72 hours from families across our state, requesting $9.93 million. Vast need, and we're grateful to have the resource. As you can imagine, we're working through some kinks right now. We've designed and implemented a program that we just got the rules on recently. Congress and Treasury just gave us some different rules, which have kind of helped us, required us to tweak our program, but we're working through those immediate issues right now, and the program is launched, it's underway, and we're pleased with the success so far. Just as far as an overview of what we're able to provide, it's an online application system. The approved tenants will be eligible for a maximum of 12 months of assistance. Our funding will be going through the landlord or the utility companies directly. We're able to provide up to 12 months of past due or current rent, up to 3 months of prospective rent at a time. We're also able to cover electric and gas and water, sewer, trash, and even internet. We all know how important connectivity is right now. So that's a wonderful change from our previous KEP program where we were only able to provide direct rental assistance. As far as how to apply, you'll go on our website, and I'm actually just going to show you how to do that here in just a minute. So we'll just skip through this slide. But before I do that, I just want to talk about how you can help. This type of informational meeting is the key start to it. Promoting CURA through your networks, through emails, newsletters, websites, community boards, events, flyers. Steer people to our CURA website, which I'll be showing you, and join our mailing list. We also are going to be having promotional kits available very soon, which will help stakeholders get the word out there through social media, through on-demand video presentations. All of this is getting rolled out in the coming weeks and months. We're also having an outreach to specific stakeholder groups in April and in May. We're excited about that. Everything from faith communities to communities of color, from realtors to housing providers to nonprofits. We're going to do these specific outreach campaigns to different groups as in presentations. So make sure you're signed up for our contact list so you're aware of these opportunities to learn more about the program. The program launched March 15th. We're going to have these April to May community stakeholder group meetings and outreach opportunities. We are tentatively setting the application deadline for August. That is a tentative date based on not knowing how much need there is yet and how quickly our processing capabilities will come up to speed. The reason for that August date is that we have to have at least 65% of the funds allocated by September. Congress did recently change some of the different deadlines, so we may have a little bit of room to work on that. But as of now, try to get the applications in earlier rather than later. Finally, here's some contact information. We encourage everyone to check out our website, which I'm going to be showing you, and then use this email address to ask any questions. You can join us on Twitter and Facebook and join our mailing list on this link. I will be sending this presentation to the group following this as well, so you'll have that to utilize. We have a wonderful community partner and utility team manager, Moniz Crawford, and her contact information is on this slide. Moniz and her team would be happy to assist as well. So with that, if we have just a minute, I'm just going to pull up my computer here, and hopefully, can you see my website page here?
Yes, we can, yes.
Okay, perfect. This is KHRC's website, kshousingcorp.org. And you can click on Kansas Emergency Rental Assistance page here, and there's also a banner at the top where you can actually apply. It's a very user-friendly website. It talks about the funding source. It does talk about, if you're in the city of Wichita, clicking on that link to access their program. But I wanted to highlight just a couple of things. We do a nice job of kind of detailing the eligibility requirements, which are things like being a renter, meeting the income requirements, which I'll be showing you, at least one member of the household having a documented COVID impact or hardship, and then at least one member of the household is uncertain about where they're going to be staying or whether for fear of being homeless without this assistance. And then we just need valid proof of identification. It outlines the application process. You'll apply through this, click through this link here. There's a little bit of information about what the assistance covers. There's very user-friendly flyers, everything from a fact sheet for tenants. Sorry, it changed there we go. We've got Spanish language as well. There's a link for our program guidelines here, as well as FAQs. The FAQs go into specific detail about just every portion that we think that people who are applying may need to know. And then finally, I want to make sure I pull up our income limits because I think it'll be applicable to the other providers as well. It's based on county. So if you're in Johnson County, for a household of 4, the limit would be around $68,800 or below. And of course, it's based on household size. So again, it's a very user-friendly site. I'd encourage you to check it out. And then at the very bottom is the email.
Ryan, can you go back to that page with the income and make it a little bit bigger?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just a little bit bigger so we can see. And so you're saying in Johnson County, you're looking at the fourth column over is four-person family. And you're saying
there's the Johnson County there towards the bottom. So for a 1-person household, it would be at or below 48,000. For a 4-person, it would be 68,800 and on up.
Okay, very good. So that's helpful to have because many times people talk about percentages, but we don't know what that really translates to for families and real income. So that's helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then at this point, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but just want to know that we are here to partner. We've got wonderful nonprofit corporate partners around the area as well. We're getting those uploaded as we get in sign memorandum of understanding with different groups. These are for both tenants and landlords that may have difficulty maneuvering an online application platform where they can go in and actually get some assistance, have an individual assist them as well. So again, we're working through kinks. We've come a long way in the last week, and we're excited to see this immediate resource addressed. That said, this is a massive ongoing need, and it's for tenants and for landlords alike. Congress just recently passed funding for mortgage assistance, which the state of Kansas will be rolling out in the near future. So we're kind of at our up to here with our capacity right now at KHRC, but we're just honored to be doing this work with the state of Kansas with good partners, including people like you. Stacy, I'm happy to field any questions, but I'll turn back to you so that you can keep the conversation going. Thanks.
Stacy, I have a question from chat.
Okay, good. And we do have a couple in the chat for you. So go ahead, Robert.
Will this program, the rental assistance program, cover lot fees at a mobile home park?
Great question, Robert. And yes, it will. And that's something that you can actually look under our FAQs on the program page for that type of specific question. But we are.
And that would apply in Missouri most likely as well, wouldn't it, Ryan?
You know, I can't speak for Missouri, but I believe it is eligible under the federal rules, but each jurisdiction is slightly different. MHTC is on this call, so they can better speak on that.
And then also there's a question as to whether Oxford House residents would qualify, and I think that's residents in a group or rehabilitation home, recovery home, perhaps.
That type of specific question, I would probably need to circle back with my team on. If we're not able to find information on our FAQs and we get that type of question, what we're going to be doing is talking internally about those specific types of issues that pop up, and then we're going to update our FAQs so that we can get that information out. So I will make sure I send that on to our CURA staff to be thinking about. Great question.
Thanks. We'll tell Friends of Recovery to reach out to that information email on your website.
Please.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for the questions, Robert, from chat and Sharon. So at this point, I'd like to welcome Jenny Miller. If you can please introduce yourself. And
Thanks, Stacy. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Well, again, thank you, Stacy, for having us. My name is Jenny Miller. I'm with Missouri Housing Development Commission. We're the state housing finance agency for the state of Missouri. So thank you, Stacy and the KC Regional Housing Alliance for having us and allowing us to share this information. What I have to share is a little bit repetitive of what the other communities have shared, but I don't think that's a bad thing. So I will try to get through those faster and talk more about our individual requirements a little bit more. So as the other localities have alluded to, so the COVID-19 Economic Relief Bill was signed December 27, 2020, also referred to as the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. That included $25 billion in emergency rental assistance, or also commonly referred to as the ERA program. The state of Missouri was allocated $408 million. It is administered by the U.S. Department of the Treasury, which is a little bit different for all of us because generally these types of funds are administered by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. No less than 90% of an allocation of ERA funding can be used for direct rent and utility assistance, and then no more than 10% can be used for housing stability services and administration. Treasury does have a lot of data collection and reporting requirements, so we do want people to know that anything that we're asking in our applications is a federal requirement. We have tried to really boil it down and only ask for what we need in order to report back on this funding. The funds must be obligated by September 30, 2021. So the new American Rescue Plan that other communities have talked about, the new stimulus funding that'll be coming as we're calling 2.0 of this program, did extend our deadline to September 30, 2022. However, we do have those obligation dates. So we're trying to get 65% spent by September 30, 2021. States as well as cities and counties with populations over 200,000 were eligible for an allocation of this funding. So again, in Kansas, as they explained, Wichita did receive their own allocation. Same over here in Missouri. So the Missouri counties administering their own allocation of this funding are Clay County, Greene County, Jackson County, Jefferson County, and St. Louis County. And the Missouri cities are Kansas City and St. Louis. So then the difference in what's left of that allocation, MHDC as the state of Missouri will be administering about $320 million in our state allocation through the State Assistance for Housing Relief Program, or SAFER. So program eligibility, again, the program is eligible to households with an income at or below 80% of the area median income. I saw a question about federal poverty guidelines, and for these Treasury funds, it is based on the area median income for household size and county that you live in. So as Ryan pulled up the chart, we have a similar chart on our website for all Missouri counties by household size, so people can look up those income ranges. One or more individual in the household receives unemployment or attests to a financial hardship due directly or indirectly to COVID-19. One or more individual in the household demonstrates a risk of homelessness or housing instability. And then the federal priorities of these funds are serving people who've been unemployed for the most recent 90 days and those that are at or below 50% of the area median income. So in Missouri, if you apply for financial assistance, you can apply for the period beginning April 1, 2020. Assistance is available for up to 12 months of rental arrears, 12 months of utility assistance per eligible service, and up to 3 months of forward rent. So when you think about that the total assistance cannot exceed 12 months, 1 month could include rental arrears and utility arrears for multiple services. And so that can, that can really help a household out when you're taking care of all of those together. The payments are made directly to the landlord and utility companies. Our SAFER program application is live. Currently, we have a tenant-initiated online application portal for direct financial assistance. The landlord is required to provide their payment information and W-9 in collaboration with that application. We did launch our program on February 15th, 2021. And that website is mohousingresources.com/safer. You can also just go to mohousingresources.com and you can clearly see it there as well. So coming soon in our next program phases for the state will be an online application portal for landlords. So right now our tenant portal is open and we'll be opening our portal for landlords to apply directly. Again, they'll have to have the signature of their tenant. So no matter how you structure this program, there has to be collaboration from the landlord and the tenant. We will be providing an offline application option, and we'll be engaging with housing stability, case management, and legal services providers through that 10% of funding that you saw. So if somebody goes to apply for the SAFER program, on the website, you'll find instruction documents, eligibility checklists, everything that you would need to prepare to submit an application. When you then create an account to make an application, there's a checklist there at the beginning to make sure that you don't move forward unless you understand and meet all of the eligibility requirements that I talked about. In the application, you will provide required information on your household, your income, and then the requested assistance per service. The landlord application portion, again, is just them providing their payment information and their W-9. You'll then submit it for review. If something is wrong or there's a mistake, we won't just kick it out. We will reach out to you, notify you. You'll have 10 days to correct or cure that information and then resubmit. The required documentation that folks would be prepared to upload is a primary applicant photo ID, household annual income documentation. So we kind of have that set up in an automated series. So if you have zero income for the household, you would attest to that and move on. If you do have income, you could upload participation in a means tested federal program, and that would take care of your income documentation. If you're not participating in one of those, you want to upload your income based on the last 30 days with 2 months of documentation. And then, if you've recently been employed, but Most of 2020 you were not, and you don't qualify now that you have income for the last 30 days, you can then income qualify based on your total FY 2020 income, and you would upload your 1040 tax form. You will have to upload your past due rent or eviction notice and your utility past due notice. I do say subject to Department of the Treasury guidance. They do every month or so come out with some updated frequently asked questions that can sometimes open up our regulations a little bit or clarify some things. So again, I would say that currently the counties that I mentioned, Kansas City, St. Louis, or Kansas City, Jackson County, Clay County, do receive their own allocation of funds. But we are also working on supplementing in other areas. As soon as, we get our duplication of benefit system in place, as Jim mentioned, we do plan on opening to other locations. So there will be multiple ways that tenants could be assisted. Again, my name is Jenny Miller. I have my email address here, the Mo Housing Resources website. And then if you have specific program questions, you can email mo.safer@mhdc.com. Happy to answer any questions, and please share our information far and wide. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks. From Andrea, I made $65K last year, but have been unemployed since November. My unemployment is not reliable, even though I'm taxed for it. Can I get assistance based on what I'm actually receiving rather than what I'm supposed to be receiving? And I'll add Jenny, or the person whose income was quite different last year than it currently is.
Yes. So again, like I said, Treasury has provided two ways for folks to income qualify. So if your income based on the last 30 days when you annualize it is over the limit, you can then look at your total income for 2020. And if that puts you under, you can choose to income qualify with the whole year. So if somebody had no income until a couple of months ago, and they can annualize that, then you could qualify that way. Whereas some people, might have no income right now, but did make a lot of money prior to that would have not income qualified them.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. So there are multiple ways. Reach out to the program and talk to someone who can help you. Will tenants who received assistance in 2020 be eligible again in 2021?
So if you receive assistance through the Treasury funding, you can receive assistance up to 12 months. With the new money that is coming, you can receive assistance up to 18 months, including those 12 months from this allocation. So in general, as long as you don't if you don't exceed the months, then yes.
Great. And then these two kind of go together. What about those who are in hotels? I think, Linda, there is a program specifically to help you get rehoused, but Jenny, what about those who are in hotels or renting rooms?
So that is actually has just come up. The Treasury latest guidance released this week did add hotel, motel to some of this assistance. But for right now, before communities figure out how to incorporate that, I would say that communities with rapid rehousing assistance can help those in hotels, motels, or if you have arrears and you're in a hotel motel, you can apply to clear your arrears and then apply for 3 months of forward assistance, as long as you don't exceed the 12-month limit.
And Linda, that particularly is what Stacy Johnson Cosby has been working so hard to achieve. So make sure and get with us if you need more help with that. Timeline for turnaround of payments, Jenny?
So, like I said, we do have a cure period. So if someone needs to correct something in their application, they would have time to do that, as well as the landlord. So once an application is submitted, it'll be reviewed within a few days, and then move forward for payment. Now that we're kind of up and going, we've got, about 3 weeks under our belt. We're looking at payment within about approximately 14 days.
That's really great. And I'll just add, if you're a tenant and you're applying and receiving or working to get assistance for one of these programs, make sure and update your housing provider on the status of your application. So as long as they know what's going on, they'll be much more apt to wait and when they know that money's coming.
And I would share, and just in our experience, we have had tenants who were in sort of an eviction situation who were able to provide notification of their application approval through this program, and it was stopped. And that is a condition of the program. If a landlord is receiving forward assistance, or assistance, to keep them in that unit, they cannot go forward with that eviction.
And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the city of Kansas City, Missouri. I know Jennifer Tidwell is here on the line. So Jennifer, if you could please introduce yourself. And we know, because it's been in the news, that Kansas City got this $14 million. So we know that we have a lot of rental assistance in our city as well as the state. So Jennifer, if you can introduce yourself, please. And then I thank you, Jenny Miller.
Jennifer Tidwell with the Housing and Community Development Department for the city of Kansas City. And I won't go through all the things that Jenny Miller went through, because basically our program works the same. It has the same requirements, but I will try to go over some of the differences. So in the city of Kansas City, there is an income level. And I'll just read some of the income eligibility for the city of Kansas City. If you're a family of 4, you would make $68,800, a family of 3, $61,950, a family of 2, $55,000, a family of 1, $48,200. Those are the income eligibility for the city of Kansas City. As Jenny mentioned, you could use your monthly income, and we could tread that if that is different than your 2020 income level. So, so that would help if anybody has been out of work or is getting unemployment, then they could use a different method of applying based on their income. The other piece is, the city of Kansas City is also distributing their money through several agencies that have worked in the community for a long time. And several of those agencies you'll be aware of, like Greater Kansas City Information Center, Guadalupe Center, Community Link, Community Assistance Council, which is out south, Hope Faith, which is in the 3rd district, Journey to New Life, which is in the 3rd district. And all of this information is on our website, so I'll give you the website before I finish. Maddie Rhodes, Metropolitan Lutheran Ministries, Restart, Save Inc., and then United Way of Greater Kansas City will also have a pot of our money where they will be helping folks that have been evicted. They will be helping landlords who are trying to secure rent through the tenants that are in their particular buildings. And then they will also be taking individual applications. But each of these agencies, you could call them separately and be able to get rental assistance through the agencies as well. The last thing I will say is that Kansas City also has a website. It's KCMO Rent Help. It has a lot of the information that Jenny mentioned in terms of eligibility on that website. It also has a link that will send you to a place where you could put all your information in it, and then someone will call you back to make sure they get all the other additional documents that they need for you to get rental assistance. We are working on an application, and I think Jim was on the phone earlier, and I think we will go live sometimes next week, but folks are already accepting applications and also doing waiting lists for folks that are coming to them now. And then the link that's on our website, you can also be able to go into that link, and then someone will refer your application to one of these agencies or to United Way. My last conversation has to do with our office. You could always call our office. Tiffany Drummer is our tenant advocate that is helping us steer people to the right place and answer any of their questions. And her number is 816-513-4571. And we can put that in the chat box as well, so that you'll have both the link to the city's website as well as Tiffany's information. And I think that's all I have to add. However, we are diligently trying to get the word out through flyers, and we will probably have some manual sites up pretty quickly. And so that will go on our website once we have those manual sites where folks can come in and apply manually for those that don't have they don't actually have a computer. There are some of the agencies that will also be walk-ins. Metropolitan Lutheran Ministries is one of them. And we're trying to determine if some of the other agencies will also take walk-ins as well. And I think that's all for me, Stacy.
Okay. Jennifer, thank you so much. And I have to say that you said it's the Office of the Tenant Advocate, but I say it's an Office of the Housing, like a housing advocate, because we call you as well. We housing providers, landlords, anyone can call you for any information if it has to do with rental property. So we appreciate you all so much for that. And I know Tiffany's a hardworking lady. Before we finish up, and so I'm going to say thank you, Jennifer, but for Tiffany, I have a kind of a success story. I have a friend of mine that was struggling and needed some help with rental assistance, and I always give out Tiffany's number, with the city, because you all can triage. Like you said, Jennifer, there's certain organizations that are better prepared to handle certain populations, because you know who to send them to. And so anyway, my friend that called, she just called me last week, and I didn't know this. She had worked with Tiffany, and Tiffany had to do some follow-up with one of the agencies because the agency said, hey, we don't have money, or whatever it was. She ended up getting $10,000 back rent paid for her to help her. And she's a single mom with a baby. And she also ended up with a couple $1,000s in utility assistance. And that just changed everything for her. Thank you to Tiffany for your hard work in answering and triaging and handling those calls. And Jennifer, thank you. And then thank you for your feedback and the work that you do, Jennifer, managing that office and that department. You guys are real flexible and great to work with as well. So we thank you. And at this time, we're going to go just immediately to our next speaker because water bills. Everybody knows about the Kansas City Water Department and the bills. It's unfortunate, but it is a reality. And I get calls, and we know that there are a lot of issues with those water bills and managing them. So I've asked the Water Department to come on and just, if you could walk us really quickly through people who need assistance getting those big water bills paid off. Olivia, you're here. If you can introduce yourself, and then please share your details with us.
Good morning. My name is Olivia, and I'm with the Kansas City Water Department. I'm in our Credit and Collections Division, and I have a PowerPoint to share with you all. So again, like I said, I'm Olivia Gonzalez. I'm the Senior Administrative Assistant for the City of Kansas City's Credit and Collection Division. I'm filling in for my manager, Celeste Tucker, who is the utility manager of that division. And right now, of course, through COVID, we know a lot of people are facing unforeseen hardships. So the city wants to make sure everyone is aware that financial assistance is available. We understand the need for water, and we're going to do everything we can to maintain water services for the customer. The best thing for customers to do who are not current is to contact KC Water by phone. Our phone number, of course, is 816-513-1313. It's going to be option 1, or of course, you can visit us online at www.kcwater.us. And we are asking customers not to wait until they're in crisis to reach out to get assistance. We also have our low income assistance program, which we've been partnered with Mid-America Assistance Coalition, which is better known as MAC. And that's to help the customers pay their water bills. You can contact them by contacting 211. You can also call them by their actual whole phone number, 816-474-5112, or even by going to www.211kc.org. Of course, there are different applicant guidelines to reach to get assistance for the low income assistance. Normally, an applicant household has to have an income of below 185% of the U.S. poverty guidelines. I think that's going to correspond with the information Ryan had shared when it shows the actual numbers of the income. Also, you have to have an active KC Water account. Along with that, the maximum you can receive within a rolling 12 months is $500. And then this funds can be used to a current bill or, of course, a settlement bill. So there are options there for people who have past due bills. And then a lot of applicants do have to have made a personal payment within the last 90 days. There is no income amount for that last payment, but as long as the payment's been made within the last 90 days, they're able to get assistance. Again, with the emergency rental assistance, like Jennifer has stated, we have partnered with the KC Water the city of Kansas City has emergency rental assistance for tenants, which is being distributed through various community agencies. And then with the water bills and how people have, a raise in water, we also have leak stopper program. So this is called Bridging the Gap. This is to provide qualifying customers with water saving kits on how to reduce your water usage. And you can find out more information by going to leakstoppers.kc.com or even contacting 816-890-9600. And you'll end up they'll be able to provide you information as to how the program works and the different income requirements for that program. And here is just a list of the things I just went over. So payment arrangement, our assistance program, leak stoppers, the emergency rental assistance, and then our extended payment arrangement. We've actually provided longer than normal payment arrangements during this time. And that's all I have for you.
And Olivia, can I add one thing to that as well? So the water department works with MacLink, and we have also a part of the 14 million that we received. We put a portion of that funding over at MacLink as well, so that there would be additional monies to have utilities assistance for any of the residents of Kansas City, Missouri. So we also have a pot of money over at MacLink. So that number that she gave you, you could call them directly for those utilities as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Jennifer.
And then I know Robert has a couple of questions from chat.
Yeah, the question is, what about old water bills that are preventing a tenant from connecting services? I'm assuming at perhaps a new residence or their existing residence.
So each consumer's water bills look by case scenario. However, feel free to contact us at our water department number 816-513-1313. If you're unable to receive assistance with our contact center, you can always be transferred to the credit and collections division. We are more able to look closely at your account and find out what we're able to provide assistance with and how to help get the water turned on at a new location.
How do they get to you, to your division, Olivia? That's always a big deal because I even get calls and people with specific issues. Where can they go outside of that 1313 number?
Our direct number is 816-513-02. I'm sorry, 816-513-0120.
There are a couple comments about people having a hard time getting someone with water to work from them related to old bills. So I would say if the water company is unable to help you, reach out to some of these other social service agencies that are listed because they may be more flexible in helping you pay off old utilities so you can get into your new place.
So, and for water too, that number, isn't that 513? And I hear the 513-0120 is a way for someone who has collections or who has a challenge to get directly to you for water. Is that right, Olivia?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's good to know. Okay.
And Stacy, if they meet the eligibility of the CARES Act funding, they can also get utility arrears and utilities going in the future. They can also get that if they are eligible under the CARES Act money.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that's great to know.
And then
Okay, thank you.
Kim Tucker asked, is the Leak Stoppers program available for landlords on a larger scale, like perhaps somebody that has a multifamily building or something?
So as of now, I've been known that it's only for residents, but you can definitely call and reach out to them just to verify what other opportunities or assistance they have for an individual who has, multiple properties or, like you stated, a larger scale multifamily property.
And I think that's going to be helpful. We just had a tenant that had a toilet leak, didn't tell us, and as a result, we have a $900 water bill. And so people don't think we have expenses. We have a lot of expenses, and that is a nightmare, almost $1,000 because of a leak. And so that'd be great. Anything else? Let's take maybe another question, Robert, if there's anything else, and then we're going to move on to our next speaker.
Sure. There was a little confusion. Somebody said the income guideline for KC Water is $185. I don't think that's correct. Can you touch on the income guidelines, Olivia?
It was 185% below poverty. That's when you would qualify for the different assistance that was available for the low income assistance programs.
And is that number able to be found on the website, your website, with that program information?
That is available on the website, yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Olivia, for being here today. We greatly appreciate it because water is always something that people talk about. It's just always a challenge. And having you here and then sharing that number is wonderful. And it's going to help a lot of people to be able to reach you directly. So hold your phones because we will be calling. Olivia, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate that. And then our next speaker is going to be Karen Slaughter with the Center for Conflict Resolution. And we thought that would be important because at this time when there's money here, in the past, people and landlords and renters may have had some tension because of the rent not being paid, but now there's money here and we may need to open up like the lines of communication again so we can rebuild the relationships now that money is here. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen Slaughter with the Center for Conflict Resolution. If you can introduce yourself and tell us what services you offer.
Thank you, Stacy. I really appreciate the invitation. This has been quite informative and educational for me. I'm going to share my screen and just give you a little bit about the Center for Conflict Resolution. So we are the Center for Conflict Resolution. My name is Karen Slaughter, and I'm a restorative justice facilitator. We've been serving Kansas City since 1999. And I'm going to do a little bit backwards of the images that you're seeing here. We work in the prison system, teaching Rethink Conflict. And the purpose is so that we can help prepare individuals who are leaving the prison system so that they are better prepared to be successful when they come back out into the community. And part of that need to be better prepared is to teach them how to rethink their way through conflicts that may have been the reason that they wound up in prison to begin with, as well as giving them some access to information and education like we're gaining here today so that they can be successful when they come home. In the educational system, we are in multiple school districts and schools in the Kansas City area both teaching our students how to rethink conflict, but also helping the administration and the teaching staff to understand and be involved in discipline that restores. It's a restorative justice process that kind of helps us reduce the number of times a student may be actually suspended and spend time away from the school where he's not actually being taught, not actually being prepared. So if we can help with that through our training and our educational program, that's one of the things we hope to do. Now, where the community is concerned, we are in the community in multiple ways. We do mediations that could be from anywhere from a barking dog to a shared driveway to neighbors disputes, and sometimes relationship disputes as it relates to child custody issues. But the reason today is so important to me is I serve quite often on Thursdays in the eviction court down at Jackson County. And I get calls from the landlord and or the tenant seeking to figure out a way to resolve the issue. Sometimes tenants, through fear of being displaced, wait until the very last minute, have not done a good job of maintaining communication with the landlord. And the landlord has become, or the housing provider, Stacey, I apologize, has become frustrated because they don't see a way to the end. And most times they have the responsibility of a mortgage. And so there needs to be some form of communication and some form of assurance on the part of the tenant to share what's going on and what options may be available to resolve the arrearage. So this programming today and the programming we attended a few weeks ago has been great because it's arming me with tools that help me facilitate those conversations, even between the tenant and maybe the attorney that is representing the household provider. So as a whole, we provide a safe, structured, and positive environment to talk, tools that help people resolve, manage, and transform conflict, and training that provides skills and tools to create peaceful solutions and restore relationships. Our offices are located at 6285 Paseo, and we can be reached at 816-461-8255. My email address is kslaughter@ccrkc.org. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, Stacey. I've got a lot of notes and I have several tenants and housing providers that I need to reach out to today. This will make those conversations much simpler and provide options.
That is absolutely wonderful. And you're right there on the front line too. So we thank you, Karen. And also something else, you guys also are looking for people to be trained as mediators, no matter what background or what walk of life, if they're neighborhoods, if they're business people, whatever, you all are always training mediators. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I mentioned that we do some other work, neighborhood accountability boards. If you're not interested in being a mediator, neighborhood accountability boards are opportunities for us to serve as a community in a restorative justice fashion. So that training allows us to come together and present and offer understanding, hope, and support to someone who has been charged with maybe a low-level crime, and the prosecuting attorney feels that they would be better served by using a diversionary program similar to ours. So we as a community, and I say we because it's members just as yourself, will sit down, and we're doing it virtually, but we'll sit down with that person and understand where they were at the time, mentally, physically, whatever, that they found themselves in that particular situation, help them work through the accountability part, understand how or whom they've harmed, and understand how they can correct that harm. And typically, it is very soul searching and gratifying because we connect with people and people are so appreciative of not being judged. It's a no judgment zone.
Right, absolutely. Well, thank you again. Thank you for what you do, and people can reach out to you for your services or to get trained or to participate in any way that you shared with us this morning. Karen, we appreciate you being here. This is all just a there's a lot involved in keeping our communities and neighborhoods safe, and that involves the tenants and the housing providers. So thank you. And then our final speaker, and then after our final speaker, we're going to take questions. But our final speaker is another community group. We heard from Charles earlier, and we heard from Karen, another community group that's stepping up to say in this space that there's help to be had. And so I'm going to ask our Keeping Communities on Guard, Lamar and Robert are both here, and they're going to tell you how they can help people get the applications filled out, kind of a one-on-one. So Lamar and Robert, you're up. Please introduce yourselves and tell us what your organization does and will do.
Okay, my name is Lamar Vickers, and I'll be speaking on behalf of myself and Robert Williams. We are the founders of the KCOGs, which stands for Keeping Communities on Guard. And we are, a little bit about us, when Charles mentioned the food drives, as they bring the food, we help to get the food to the people. We there every week, and as it turned out, 53 weeks of being out there helping people get the food that they are providing. We've also been a part of neighborhood cleanups for like the last 4 years, and really proud of our work that we do out here in the community. So when Stacy contacted us and we found out about this opportunity, our goal to this is we pride ourselves as being the boots on the ground. So what we're doing to this is those individuals who can't go online and don't have the ability to go online, that's the population that we're going to serve. And we're going to serve them for as many weeks as it takes to get everybody that's out here underprivileged to be able to be satisfied through this process. And we our position is we will have satellite centers and satellite locations that on a weekly basis people can come to, have someone to sit with them at the computer and help them to apply online. And so that's our goal, is to reach that population that will not be able to just take advantage of this opportunity as any normal person would do. And we are partnering with MAG Services, which is at 2510 East 72nd. And we have other church affiliations. So our goal is quite simply, we're going to make sure that the individuals who don't know about this and are unable to participate, we're going to be their arm to help them be able to participate in this project. So that is, and as I'm listening and I'm learning that that there all the people that had, like you said, been evicted, now they're in hotels. So we have an even greater task of being able to reach those that won't be able to properly receive this information. So that's who we are. That's what we bring to the table, and we're looking forward to working with you, Stacy, on completing that goal.
And we thank you so much for stepping up, another community organization stepping up, and we'll get information out to people. We'll get information out to people about the dates that you're doing that. We'll have it on our website and our Facebook page where they can go to a satellite location to get one-on-one assistance if they need that. And so we thank you so much for doing that. And then, and for being here.
So I just want to kind of clarify the purpose of Kansas City Regional Housing Alliance, that we are formed with a desire to serve the community, and we want to form a bridge between the landlords and the tenant community. We are two sides of the same, two wheels of the same car. So we just want to make sure that we work together cohesively in order to make sure that our society is good. We make good houses, we provide the necessary residential accommodation, and have a better living. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. And then at this time, I'd like to do, we're going to start with questions, and Vanita Fang Sifri has some that came from YouTube and from Facebook. But while we're waiting for her to come online, there were a few other people from our organization that did not introduce themselves that popped on. And if you can just please say your name and hi, if you would. Dennis, Steve Vogel, Jen, Justice, and Sam. If you can just say hi as part of the KC Regional Housing Alliance.
I'm with Yarco Companies, and I also represent the Apartment Association of Kansas City.
Very good, very good. And Benita,
Hi.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm Sam Alpert, and I represent the Heartland Apartment Association.
Hey guys, good morning. Hope this finds you well. And want to thank you guys for coming on, being part of a solution for Kansas City. I know this takes a lot of hard work, a lot of time. We're just thankful that we're all together here on this. And we're out supporting our community. And it's a great cause for Kansas City.
Always. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mark, and thank you for being here and part of our team. Benita, if you can introduce yourself, and then you have some questions from YouTube and Facebook.
Yes, I'm Benita Sifri, and I'm a housing provider, also a contractor, entrepreneur. So the questions that we have from Facebook are non-U.S. citizens also eligible? And do applicants need documentation to prove they're legally in the U.S.?
Great question. Who can take that? Jim or Jenny?
Stacy, I'll take a stab at it, but probably will need help. So it's my understanding that there's no prohibition in the federal guidance against serving undocumented households. So the answer is yes, they can be served. It is my understanding also, though, that most programs are requiring the last 4 digits of the Social Security number or the I-10, the individual tax identification number, which is something that an undocumented person might frequently have. But I also understand that some undocumented citizens do not have any kind of tax ID number. So that's a challenge that each program is tackling individually. I can say here in Jackson County, I'm helping them get their application set up, and we're looking at alternatives such as the last 4 digits of their phone number. But the short answer to the question is yes, they can qualify, and I would welcome any insights from any of the other program administrators that are still on the call on this question. Thanks.
Jenny's here. Jenny, anything?
Yeah, so I would agree with what Jim said. In our application for the state of Missouri, applicants are asked for the last 4 digits of a social security number just to provide a unique identifier when we are checking for duplication of benefits. We do not, we can't validate if that number, is, we don't ask for the full number. So if you have a photo ID, you can apply.
Very good, thank you. Anything
Next
else,
question.
Benita? Yes.
Are payments eligible for properties in Kansas City but located in Platte County? Are Platte County residents part of the eligibility criteria?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. So Platte County residents who live in Kansas City, Missouri would apply to the Kansas City program, and Platte County residents outside of Kansas City, Missouri would apply to the SAFER program, the Missouri Housing Development Commission program.
All right.
And United Way has links to all of those programs on our website.
I would also add that at mohousingresources.com, you can also find links to the other localities as well. So if Jim and I are, if you come to ours, you can go to theirs. If you go to theirs, you can come to ours.
Well, yeah, and you've got the whole state, so yours is probably a better resource to be pointing people to. As a matter of fact, Stacy, do you have that link, and are you going to push that out to the group?
Which link is that? What do we need?
Yes,
Jenny,
it's in chat.
Oh, is it? Okay, good.
We have 2 more questions. Is there any assistance for mortgage delinquencies available?
I could take that right now. The emergency rent assistance funding is only for renters obligated to pay rent on a unit for tenants right now. However, in the Biden stimulus package, there was about $9 billion for homeowner assistance. That funding will be allocated to the states within the next 60 days after enactment. So please continue to watch mohousingresources.com for information for homeowners.
Thank you, Jenny. And the last question is, could we have some clarification on forward rent payments?
So forward rent payments generally means up to 3 months of forward rent. So most programs that are running are allowing for a application for forward rent, which is 3 months of forward rent. However, applicants are not eligible to apply for forward rent until all arrears are cleared, either because they don't have any or because they also apply for arrears through the program.
Jenny, can I ask a question about that rule? What if someone has arrears that go prior to April 1 that can't be paid by the program?
So ERA funds cannot assist with rental assistance because of the COVID tieback prior to April 1, 2020. But there are other programs still running in communities that can assist. So also at mohousingresources.com, you can look for other nonprofits in the area who receive other rent utility assistance that may be able to help with any arrears prior to April 1, 2020.
So just to follow up on that, so would someone who has arrears prior to April 1 who can go to one of these other programs, do they have to do that first before they can apply to this program?
No, they don't have to do that first.
Okay, great.
However,
One question that just came in, Stacy.
If you did come for forward rent and all of your rental arrears were not cleared, you wouldn't be forward rent until all of that was cleared, because no arrears can exist.
Okay, that's helpful.
Very good. Benita?
We have one question that just came in.
Okay.
What if you don't meet the income limits, you've been previously evicted, or are you still eligible for assistance?
Unfortunately, one way or another, you have to meet the income limits of 80% AMI or below for your household size in the county that you live in. However, we talked about before, there's 2 ways to qualify. So you can qualify based on your last 30 days of income or your whole FY 2020 income. So if you need additional assistance figuring that out, I'd reach out to the program and they can help you figure that out.
Very good. Benita, thank you for asking those questions and monitoring Facebook and YouTube for us. Our goal is to reach people in as many places as possible. I know Robert has some questions from our Zoom chat, but in the meantime, while we get ready to hear from Robert with our final questions, I wanted you to know when we were talking about like communities doing things, I know that, oh, what happened to that? Okay, COVID shots, that's a big deal nowadays. I'll just share this really quickly. If someone still needs to get their shot, you can call Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church, and there's the phone number on the screen. And the reason I know about this is a friend of my husband's told him he called and within 4 days had an appointment. My mom called and within days had her appointment. And they're very easy to work with, very responsive. So if someone that you know still needs a COVID shot, and they didn't necessarily ask a lot of qualifying type questions, it seems like their mission is if you need a shot, come on in. And then they were just very welcoming and easy on the phone with an appointment. So that number is 816-923-3559. That's 816-923-3559. And it's Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church. I think the type of shot depends on what they get. So you may call them. And they're right on 27th and Prospect, across from the police station. So I just want to take that in.
Stacy,
Yes.
I want to attest that I got my J&J shot there. And just based on what you just said, absolutely true. They have a big supply that they want to be sure is efficiently utilized.
Right. And there, yeah, it's absolutely great. And so many people are talking about being on waiting list and not being able to get in. This, like you're saying, Sam, this is just quick, efficient, and easy to get in. So if people need their shots, it's right there. And easy to find too. So I'll stop there, and then we'll wrap up with maybe Robert, if there are a couple questions from chat, then we'll wrap up. And then again, remember, Kim said that this will be available on YouTube and on Facebook, and the recordings will be there. So I'm sorry, yes, YouTube, Facebook, and on our website. So if someone missed today and needs this information, it'll be out there. And then remember again, too, we're going to come back with the United Way on April the 9th and do this again, and not in such a big way, but we're just going to be a little more streamlined and have some information, just like maybe a 30-minute update if people need to get in and get the information so that we don't miss people, because it's too important. Too many people need help and there's too much help out there. Robert, were there, and I'm going to thank our speakers too. And Robert, were there any questions in chat on Zoom that we can cover quickly before we wrap up?
Sure. We're asking, I've had some people asking for Lamar's contact information. Lamar, are you still with us?
Yes, you could send them to KCOGs with the S 816@gmail.com.
KCOGS816
at gmail.com.
Can they reach you by
Thank you.
phone
And
number?
what's the name of your organization again?
KCOGs, Keeping Communities on Guard.
Can they reach you by phone, Lamar, you or Robert, by any chance?
816-499-9592.
Okay.
All right, there, we've put that into chat. So another question was, if we're on Social Security, sorry.
While he's finding that, there was one other question. Renters that have not gotten behind on rent but have been pulling money out of their retirement savings to pay the rent. Is there any way for them to apply for rental assistance and get some of that back?
That's interesting. Jenny, your
I don't know
interpretation.
if it's possible. That would probably be a Jenny question, because Jenny would be able to have the same answers for the local city organizations.
Or Jim, Jenny or Jim.
Yep, Jim, feel free to jump in as well, but I would say, unfortunately, no, this has to be a direct payment to a landlord or a utility company. However, you could use the fact that you did have to use other means to pay your rent, and that could be considered financially impacted by COVID, and you could apply for forward rent up to 3 months and any utility arrears that you might have.
Great. And then the question is, do people on SSA qualify?
Yes, so that would be considered a federally means tested program. So you would qualify under the 80% AMI or below.
Another question about the timeline, and I think you said that could be as quick as a couple of weeks for turnaround for payment once all the information is provided.
That's correct. And again, that's after an application is reviewed and deemed eligible and approved. So they might submit, and then it takes 3 days to get into that approved status. So your 14 days would start there.
Okay. And if someone has received, applied for LIHEAP and received a small amount of assistance, can they also apply for utility assistance through another program?
Yes, as long as the assistance that they're applying for is not for the same months and amount of assistance, and there's no overlap. If a need still exists, they can apply for both. And generally, when people apply for utility assistance through the ERA programs, when we contact the utility companies and make that pledge, we'll be able to see that other payment on there. So yes.
And another question about income. It seems there is some flexibility in the way they calculate your income. So I would just encourage you, if you have questions about fluctuating income, make sure and go ahead and apply and talk to somebody about the different options to calculate your income. Can you touch, Jenny, on whether somebody has to actually be behind to apply for this assistance?
So for the state program, and I'll let Jim talk about the Kansas City area if there's any difference. If you are not behind on rent, you can, but you've been financially directly or indirectly impacted by COVID, you can apply for up to 3 months of forward rent. If you are not behind on utilities, this program does not provide forward utility assistance unless you're in a situation where you have other energy costs such as propane or wood that requires a prepayment for you to keep your utilities on. However, this program will be open again, through September. So if somebody is not behind now, but is impacted, they could apply, in the future.
And just to clarify, for the rental assistance, they don't need to be currently behind, correct? To apply for the program.
No, so as long as you can apply only for forward rent, as long as you don't have any other arrears, or you also apply to clear your arrears through the program.
Great.
A quick question about that too, Jenny. So a person, and this is to Jim too, we may have talked about this. If a person is applying for the forward rent, that's 3 months at a time. And then I understand that at the end of that 3 months, if it's still needed, and if there's money still available, if they still qualify, they can get an additional 3 months. So that could potentially be 6 months going forward. But for that first 3 months, would that be one check with all 3 months rolled into it, paid directly to the housing provider?
Yep, that's correct.
Very good, thank you.
Jenny, if I could just add a question or tag on with another follow-up question to that. In the Missouri program, Jenny, does an applicant have to, to get another 3 months of assistance, do they have to submit a new application, or is there a mechanism whereby they can come back to the original application?
Yes, if you apply and receive assistance and need any additional assistance, you will have to come back and apply again. However, I believe it'll save certain information in your application to where you don't maybe have to fill out every single portion, but you would have to come back and submit a new application.
Anything else, Robert? Another?
Yes.
Okay.
One final question. Can somebody discuss resources available for homeless families needing emergency housing? Hopefully. I'll tell you, there are some funds dedicated to the homeless community. Anybody have a resource for that?
So if you go again to the mohousingresources.com website, if it there's another box that says I'm looking for resources in my area, you can search by county and it will connect you with all of the homeless assistance funding that MHDC administers to agencies in the area to do that work. So that would be looking for rapid rehousing assistance to rapidly rehouse individuals and families. Some have hotel motel vouchers, things like that. So I would visit there first for other communities that are funded with the Emergency Solutions Grant Program.
If I could, also the KCOGs, we have we have a good relationship with the homeless providers that several of the homeless providers that service the homeless communities, so that we could be an asset as well.
Yeah, and I would just add on for people who are not housed currently, they can call 211 and get a referral. So if they don't have access to the internet, they can call 211 and get a referral to an agency. If they live in Jackson or Wyandotte County, they can also basically participate in a pre-screening, and then their program, or not their program, then they will get referred to one of the community providers that operate under the auspices of the Coalition to End Homelessness. So it's kind of an entry point into that service delivery system. I mean, it's no guarantee of service, but it does provide a place to tell a person to go.
And if I could say too, Jim, you guys are kind of a one-stop shop for anyone that needs anything from any phone. You dial 211 and it gets you to you. For in our area, it's the United Way of Greater Kansas City, and that is for food. That's for anything you need, food, utility help, rental assistance, of course, anything you need. 211 is a lifeline and a helpline. So that's something, if nothing else, if you don't remember anything else, 211, I think, is a great resource in our community that can refer you to help. And if I'm not mistaken, Jim, it's 24/7. You can call 24 hours a day and have someone there to refer you to someone for help, right? I think he was shaking his head. Okay, is that right, Jim?
Yes.
24/7. Mhm. Absolutely. So that is a resource a lot of people don't know about, but it's out here, 211 from any number. Robert, is there a final question before we wrap up and let people go enjoy the beautiful day and the sunshine?
I think we've cleared them. I would just say, people, if you have questions, you can find this seminar again, or you can copy the link and chat through one of the three dots at the bottom right corner. And this information will be up. So reach out. Don't be silent. There is help available. Reach out and we'll help you find it.
And so again, on that note, I thank everyone. I thank our speakers and those who attended. And if you don't need help, maybe you know someone that does. So please, let's spread the word. And Yogi, my co-chair on this event and getting this organized, I thank Yogi. And then I thank all of the members of the KC Regional Housing Alliance. We are housing providers. Don't believe the media. We are the good guys, and we are here to help, because when you help one, you help the other. A tenant cannot survive without a landlord, and a landlord can't survive without a tenant. We need each other, and we are together. No us versus them. And so on that note, I'm going to wrap us up for the day and thank all of you for attending. Hey, Lorraine, I see you. Hey, and then so I'm gonna go. Jenny, you came from I was gonna say from a long way, but it's virtual. So we appreciate you being here, Karen, Lamar, and Robert, all the other speakers, and of course Jim for being our partner in this always and being willing to help do whatever we can to help people. We appreciate you, Jim, and your flexibility. And I'll be in touch with you soon. And so all of you, thank you so much. Olivia, I see you. Thank you. And so we will see you all later. And remember the 9th of April, and we'll get the word out to you all. So thank you all.
Thanks, Stacy.
Bye-bye. You're welcome. And thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank
Thanks, everyone.